So I've recorded this video probably 20 different times with different messages every time, but I think this is going to be the video where I really hammer it home and why I think Trump has to be the guy for the Republican Party in 2024. With Donald Trump announcing his presidential run last night, you're seeing a lot of people saying he shouldn't run and that he should step aside for Ron DeSantis. And the number one argument people use in favor of Ron DeSantis has nothing to do with policy or the way he would govern, but it has everything to do with the fact that he's more electable. And here's why I think that is a pitfall. So the problem with Ron DeSantis is that he's too safe. He's what you call a movement conservative in the political consulting space. A movement conservative is someone who, the 4 out of 4 high propensity voter is going to vote for. When I say 4 out of 4, that's what we refer to in the voter files as someone who's voted in the last 4 primaries and general elections. So people who always vote. Movement conservatives appeal to that group, the high propensity politically and socially engaged, more often than not white collar, upper class, suburban or metro Republican voter. That's who the movement conservative goes after. Ted Cruz was the candidate of choice for the movement conservative back in 2016. They did not support Donald Trump. Most of them did not support Donald Trump in the primary, and a lot of them didn't even vote for Trump in the general election. So there's really 2 types of voters you're looking at. And so Ron DeSantis appeals to that movement conservative, but the problem with the movement conservatives is that there's just not enough of them. They have a ceiling, and they're not going to really break through and capture additional voters outside of the sphere of influence that the movement conservative brings. And so that's the problem with Ron DeSantis. When people say he's more electable, what they're really saying is that his downside is lower and his floor is higher. So what they're not saying is that his upside is higher and his ceiling is higher. No, the problem with someone like Ron DeSantis is that he's too safe, and he has like I said, a low ceiling, and he's not going to really be able to capture that additional lower propensity voter. And that's where Donald Trump comes in. That's why Donald Trump won in 2016, because he was able to tap into that extra voter, the 0 out of 4 or 1 out of 4 voter, aka someone who hadn't voted at all in the last 4 elections or someone who's just voted once in the last 4 elections. Donald Trump turned those people out. He got them to the polls, and these voters did not vote in the 2022 midterms, but Donald Trump was able to turn them out. So the reason it has to be Trump is that Trump might have a lower downside. He might have a bigger bust potential, but he has a much higher upside, a much higher ceiling. If everything goes right for him, he can win more votes than someone like Ron DeSantis would. Yes, he has a potential to win less votes than someone like Ron DeSantis if everything goes wrong, but in 2024, in a post-2020 electoral system where really ballot harvesting, ballot collection, and all that rules the day, it's going to take someone with a higher upside, a higher ceiling in order to be able to overcome that. And I just don't think Ron DeSantis is that guy. It's kind of like in football where a defense goes on an all-out blitz. Yeah, you're really exposing yourself to a big play if you can't get to the quarterback, but the upside is that you sack the quarterback, you might force a turnover, you're going to push him back behind the chains and everything like that. In basketball, it's kind of like using a junk defense like a triangle and 2 or a box and 1. Yeah, if everything goes wrong, you're going to get shredded. It has a major bust potential, a very low ceiling, but at the same time, if it succeeds, it's going to be a lot better than your base defense and really frustrate the other team. Or in baseball, it's kind of like bringing the infield in. Yeah, when you bring the infield in, you're raising the batting average of the batter 100 points. But the flip side is that if you don't bring the infield in, you're going to give up a run and a ground ball. So it's like I said, it's a high risk, high reward, high upside, very high downside type of trade you're making. And in order for any Republican to bust through the way elections are done post 2020, you have to go with the person with the highest upside possible. And that person is no other than Donald Trump. That's just the facts. Ron DeSantis just doesn't have that upside to where he can capture that low propensity, blue collar, working class, more rural, disenfranchised voter in the Midwest. And the path to an electoral victory goes through the Midwest. Yeah, Ron DeSantis might do better in a state like Virginia or Colorado, but the thing is, those states are gone for Republicans in presidential elections. There's no really point in contesting them. Everything goes for the Midwest, and only Donald Trump has proven he can win the Midwest. And you win the Midwest by tapping into that low propensity voter that hates both parties and doesn't really trust any politician, but will get out to vote for someone like Donald Trump, someone who they can connect with on an emotional level because of their message, that it's all corrupt. And I just don't think Ron DeSantis is that guy. So that's why it has to be Trump. I could make 20 videos on the subject about why it has to be Trump, but I feel like this is the best argument in Trump's favor. It's just the fact that his upside is that much higher, and you're going to need all the upside you can get in order to win against a Democrat in 2024 or any election post 2020 at the way elections are conducted now with election month instead of election day. That's just how it is. And you can't play it safe and go with a candidate with a lower downside like a Ron DeSantis and think that's going to be enough. It's not. So that is why I think it has to be Trump in 2024. Go with the candidate with the highest upside, the highest risk, but also the highest reward. That is the path. It has to be Trump.